You don't miss signs because you're unaware. You miss them because no one ever taught you what to look at. And if you're honest with yourself, you felt this before. That moment where something shifted with her, not dramatically, quietly, and you told yourself, I'm probably overthinking this. Men who stay silent do that. Men who don't want to misread. Men who observe instead of chasing. This isn't about learning tricks. It's about seeing patterns you were never taught to name. Because when a woman develops feelings, she rarely announces it. She leaks it through behavior, energy, timing. And once you understand how that leakage works, confusion disappears. Not because you become bold, but because you become clear. Stay with me. There's a reason the first sign almost always goes unnoticed, and once you see why, you'll never unsee it. Sign number 1, she brightens up when she sees you. This isn't about politeness, and it's not about being nice. Watch her face. Not the smile she gives everyone, the automatic one, the one that happens before she remembers to control it. People who aren't emotionally invested react after they think. People who are invested react before thought. That's why this matters. When she sees you and her energy lifts, eyes slightly wider, posture more alive, attention snapping into focus. That's not coincidence. That's her nervous system recognizing something familiar, something safe, something it wants more of. And here's the part most men miss. This reaction isn't about attraction alone. It's about anticipation. She's not just happy you're there, she's already imagining how she'll feel once you start talking. At a gathering, notice who scans the room. Notice who she looks for without realizing she's doing it. If her face changes when she finds you, that's not friendliness, that's preference. And preference always comes before attachment. But don't rush to interpret this as certainty, because this sign only matters when paired with what comes next. The second indicator isn't about emotion, it's about intent. And intent is where things quietly become personal. We'll get there. Notice something important before we continue. Emotion alone doesn't create closeness, choice does. That's why the second sign is where curiosity turns into intention. Sign number 2, she finds ways to spend time with you, one-on-one. This is where things stop being accidental. People who are unsure stay in groups. People who are curious create moments, but people who are developing feelings, they engineer proximity quietly, not with dramatic invitations, not with pressure, with reasons. Can you help me with this? We should grab coffee sometime. Do you want to walk with me? Small sentences, big meaning. Here's the psychological shift most men don't notice. Group time is safe. One-on-one time is exposed. When she chooses isolation with you, she's choosing vulnerability, even if she doesn't consciously label it that way. And if you're the kind of man who notices patterns instead of reacting emotionally, this will feel familiar. You'll realize she doesn't just accept time with you, she creates it. In a group setting, she finds ways to pull you aside, not because she dislikes others, but because attention is finite and she's choosing where hers goes. This isn't about convenience, it's about priority. And here's the part that reframes everything. When a woman seeks one-on-one time, she's not asking, do I like him? She's asking, how do I feel when it's just us? That question only appears when feelings are already forming. If you've ever wondered why she seems different alone than in public, more open, more relaxed, more present, that's not a coincidence. That's her testing emotional gravity. But proximity alone doesn't confirm depth, because the body reveals what words avoid, and that's where the third sign quietly takes over. Long before either of you say anything out loud, there's a reason the body speaks before the mouth ever does. Words can be managed, tone can be adjusted, but the body reacts before permission is given. And if you're the kind of man who watches instead of performs, this part will feel uncomfortably familiar. Sign number 3, her body language changes around you. This isn't about obvious flirting, it's about direction. People lean toward what they value. They angle their feet toward what they're invested in. They close physical distance with what feels emotionally safe. When she leans in while you're speaking, not because the room is loud, but because she doesn't want space between you, that's not accidental. When her arm brushes yours and she doesn't pull away. When she touches your shoulder while laughing and leaves her hand there a moment too long. That's not habit. That's permission. Here's the psychological truth most men never hear. Physical closeness isn't about desire first, it's about comfort. Attraction without comfort stays distant, comfort with attraction moves closer, and that's why this sign matters. She sits nearer than necessary. Her body opens instead of closing. Her legs point toward you, even when her attention is supposed to be elsewhere. These are unconscious signals of focus. And if you've ever felt like conversations with her feel different, more grounded, more present, it's because her body has already decided something her mind hasn't fully admitted yet. But don't misinterpret this as impulsiveness. This isn't reckless behavior, it's controlled vulnerability. She's allowing closeness without demanding response, testing safety without forcing outcome. And here's the twist that shifts perspective. A woman's body moves closer before her emotions feel safe enough to speak, which means by the time you notice this sign, the internal shift has already begun. But there's another layer, one that doesn't involve touch at all. It involves language, and language reveals something far more dangerous than attraction. It reveals identity. There's a moment when attraction stops being personal and starts becoming shared. Most men miss it because it sounds harmless, almost casual, but psychologically, it's a line you don't cross unless something inside has already shifted. Sign number 4, she starts using we, us, and our. Pay attention to her language, not what she says about you, but how she positions you inside her world. People who see you as temporary speak in I. People who see you as optional speak in you, but people who are emotionally integrating you into their identity, they speak in we. We should try that place. Our favorite show is coming back. We'd probably like that. This isn't planning, it's mental rehearsal. Before a woman commits emotionally, she tests the idea of togetherness in her mind. Language is how she does it safely. And here's the subtle shift that changes everything. She's no longer talking to you. She's talking from a shared position. That means she's imagining experiences before they happen, imagining reactions, imagining alignment, not because she's rushing, but because her mind is already asking, does he fit here? Men who never explain themselves tend to notice this faster because they don't interrupt the moment with ego or assumption. They just observe. And if you've ever caught yourself thinking, wait, when did I turn into we? That wasn't random. That was her testing emotional compatibility without asking for commitment. But here's the uncomfortable truth most people don't talk about. A woman doesn't use we unless she already feels safe imagining loss. Because once you include someone in your internal language, removing them hurts. Which means by the time you hear this sign consistently, she's already crossed a quiet emotional threshold. Still, language alone isn't intimacy. The real shift happens when she does something far riskier. She lets you see behind the curtain. There's a level of access that has nothing to do with attraction and everything to do with trust. This is where things stop being light, where the tone changes, where you feel it without knowing how to name it. Sign number 5, she opens up emotionally. People protect what matters, they hide what hurts, and they reveal only where they feel safe. So when she starts telling you things she doesn't casually share, not stories for entertainment, but pieces of her inner world, that's not conversation, that's risk. She might talk about her childhood, her fears, her past relationships, the parts of herself she doesn't fully understand yet. And here's the psychological shift. Most men misunderstand. She's not opening up because she wants advice. She's opening up because she wants presence. Men who rush to fix miss this moment. Men who listen without performing earn something far deeper. Because vulnerability isn't about weakness, it's about selectivity. People don't expose themselves to everyone. They expose themselves to those they feel emotionally regulated around. If she tells you about something painful, something unresolved, she's testing whether you can hold emotional weight without collapsing or judging. And if you've noticed, she chooses you for these conversations, late night talks, quiet moments, long pauses. That's not random. That's trust forming in real time. Here's the part that reframes everything. Emotional openness usually appears after attraction, but before commitment. It's the bridge. And once someone walks you across that bridge, you're no longer just a presence in their life. You're a reference point, but intimacy doesn't stop at emotion. Because when comfort and trust combine, the body follows. And that's where the next sign becomes impossible to ignore. This is where the line between friendly and felt quietly disappears. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but unmistakably. Sign number 6, she becomes physically affectionate, touchy, without needing a reason. Touch is never accidental when feelings are involved. People don't touch what they feel uncertain about. They don't initiate contact where there's emotional risk, unless the desire to connect outweighs the fear of misreading. That's what makes this sign different. It's not about bold moves, it's about permission seeking closeness. A hand on your arm while she laughs, a playful nudge that lingers, her shoulder brushing yours and not moving away, small gestures, but deliberate ones. Here's the psychological truth that shifts perspective. Touch isn't about attraction first, it's about emotional safety expressed physically. By the time she reaches out, she already feels comfortable enough to be seen doing it. Men who stay composed notice this immediately because they don't rush to interpret it as a green light or a test. They understand it as communication. And if you've ever sensed that her touch feels natural, not forced, not performative, that's because it's coming from familiarity, not strategy. She leans in during conversations, finds reasons to sit close, bridges physical space the same way she's already bridged emotional space. But here's the uncomfortable layer most people avoid acknowledging. Physical affection is often the last safe expression before deeper emotional exposure. It's easier to touch than to admit longing, easier to brush a hand than to risk rejection with words. So when she initiates touch without needing an excuse, she's not escalating, she's revealing. And yet, there's one sign that goes even deeper than touch because it has nothing to do with how she feels in the moment and everything to do with how she feels about your future. This is where emotion turns into investment. Not desire, not chemistry, investment. And there's a difference most men never learn to separate. Sign number 7, she supports and encourages you consistently. Attention is easy, affection is easy, support is not. Support requires belief. When a woman starts encouraging you, your goals, your work, your direction, she's no longer reacting to who you are right now. She's responding to who she believes you're becoming. That's a critical shift. She asks how things are going, remembers what you said mattered to you, pushes you forward when you hesitate. Not loudly, not dramatically, steadily. Here's the psychological distinction that changes how you see this sign. People who don't care want you comfortable. People who care want you fulfilled. So, when she encourages you, when she reassures you during doubt, when she celebrates your progress more than the outcome, that's not politeness. That's emotional alignment. Men who are used to handling things alone often underestimate this. They think support is just kindness. It's not. Support is a form of attachment behavior because encouraging someone means tying your emotional state to their trajectory. It means caring whether they rise or stall. And here's the part that forces reflection. She doesn't do this for everyone. If she did, she'd be exhausted. She does it for the people she feels connected to, the people she imagines standing beside, not behind. If you've ever noticed her believing in you before you fully did, that wasn't random optimism. That was emotional positioning. But there's still one sign left. And it's the most misunderstood of all because it looks like uncertainty, but it's actually exposure. This is the sign most men misread because it doesn't look like confidence. It doesn't look like control. It looks like hesitation. Sign number 8, she gets nervous or shy around you. This isn't weakness. It's self-awareness under emotional pressure. When a woman develops feelings, something subtle happens internally. Your opinion begins to matter, and when someone's opinion matters, behavior changes. She fidgets, plays with her hair, stumbles slightly over words she normally delivers with ease, holds eye contact, then breaks it. Not because she's uncomfortable with you, but because she's suddenly aware of herself through your eyes. People who don't care remain relaxed. People who care become careful. Here's the psychological reframe that changes everything. Nervousness isn't a lack of confidence. It's the presence of emotional risk. if she blushes when you compliment her, if she goes quiet in moments that feel charged, if her energy softens when it's just the two of you. That's not uncertainty, that's restraint. She doesn't want to misstep. She doesn't want to reveal too much too fast. She doesn't want to damage something she feels forming. Men who are emotionally observant recognize this immediately because they've felt it themselves. And now step back for a moment. Look at the pattern. She lights up when she sees you. She creates time alone. Her body moves closer. Her language includes you. She opens emotionally. She touches without needing reason. She supports your future. And finally, she becomes careful around you. That's not randomness. That's progression, not attraction exploding all at once, but attachment forming layer by layer. And here's the quiet truth I want you to leave with. You weren't missing signals. You were just taught to look for the wrong ones. Men who understand this don't chase. They don't force clarity. They don't panic. They move differently. Because once you see emotional patterns clearly, confusion loses its power, and so does doubt.